Welcome to the Getting Real with Hilary show, where ordinary heroes tell extraordinary stories during unique and never been heard before conversations with your host, Hilary Arno Burns. Hilary's unique listening and way of asking questions results in conversations that aren't usually talked about, so you can create the life that you really want but are afraid you can't really have. We are demonstrating the greatness in the human spirit and creating a world where we all reclaim our birthright of joy, happiness, purpose, and passion. Now, here's your host, Hilary Arno Burns. Welcome to the Getting Real with Hilary show, and today you are going to love this episode. But before I tell you who our special guest is, we're going to watch a very quick video.
I'm just sick of medicine. I'm just sick.
You have an A1C that is threatening your life.
My mom takes care of everybody. The goal for me is to not have to take all this medicine. Now it's our turn to take care of her. I didn't sleep good. Can't eat nothing.
This is a journey. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We got to get this done because you're valuable and we want you here.
I learned how to take control of my life.
You set a goal and you wouldn't allow anything to stop you.
She'll give until she has no more left.
Your life really is on the line, Shantae.
All right. And now that you know it's possible to reverse type 2 diabetes, I'm going to introduce Dr. Raj Gupta, who is the man that's making that happen. Welcome, Dr. Gupta.
Hi, Hilary. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yes, that was quite a video, right? Do you want to tell us about that young lady?
Well, sure. So her name is Shantae Elliott, and she was able to reverse her type 2 diabetes when she presented to me for care. Her A1C, which should not be above 5.6, was 12.6. She was on injectable insulin, 2 actually. She was on 2,000 milligrams of metformin, 2 blood pressure medications, a cholesterol medication. She had terrible neuropathy. And in 5 months, the neuropathy, by the way, caused her to have to walk upstairs backwards. And she was a prisoner in her own body. She was in the healthcare field, assisting others. But in 5 months, she eliminated all of her medication. She lost 58 pounds. Her A1C returned to normal. She lost diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Her neuropathy went away so much that at the end of that show, they show her running up the Philadelphia Art Museum stairs like Rocky. And it was awesome. So yes, you can reverse your type 2 diabetes.
So can you tell us how you did that? Or do you want to tell us how she found you? That
Okay.
sounds like magic.
Yeah. So I know it even sounds too good to be true, but as recent as November of 2023, so less than a year ago, the National Institute of Health came out and said that, in fact, type 2 diabetes is reversible, and they went far as defining what they meant by reversible. And their definition of reversible was elimination of all medication, high blood glucose, and the diagnosis is attainable. Now, I've known this for years, but research is finally catching up. And the way you do that, Hilary, is just so cool. And it's really very simple, is that you have to identify the reason why people have high blood sugar to begin with. And really, there's no detective work. Once you present as a patient with high blood sugar, you simply just get medicated to force that number down. But there's no detective work to find out what might be causing you to have insulin resistance, which is first, then high blood sugar, then the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes.
So how do you figure out the reason?
Yeah, so it's a deep dive. It's looking at lab work and markers. that are not the standard of care. It is doing tests such as toxin tests, stool tests, saliva tests, hormone irregularity tests. It is getting to the root cause and really doing a deep dive, not simply looking for disease, because really this is what it boils down to. Hilary, so we have a broken healthcare system. It is disease management. It has nothing to do with disease prevention. So when you begin to look for markers that indicate dysfunction rather than disease, or including disease, you're able to see when somebody is starting to fall off, the wheels are beginning to fall off, so that you could treat that patient in the dysfunction stage before it becomes a chronic disease.
So, okay, so when you're saying all those tests, I'm going to just take the devil's advocate. So
Sure.
that sounds very expensive, Dr. Gupta, to
Yeah,
do all those tests.
I agree. Yeah, you know what? And here's the thing. We have to look at our health, because this is what happens as Americans is we sacrifice our health for wealth, and then we spend our wealth to regain our health. It's silly. If you are depending on your health insurance card to keep you healthy, that's like depending on your life insurance to keep you alive. This card is sick insurance, and it only takes care of sick. So here is mind blowing to me anyway. Because type 2 diabetes is reversible, the alternative is medications, insulin injections. It's the number one reason for dialysis and kidney replacement. It is the number one reason for blindness. 66% of type 2 diabetics will have a heart attack or stroke. It's the number one reason for amputation in this country, all of which are covered by your insurance. So I ask you this, Hilary, and this is, oh man, this is going in a terrible direction.
No, it's okay, because I know if I was listening and I heard all those tests, I would say, oh, that's so much money. But I know you're going to tell us why it makes sense. So
well, I'm going to tell you
go
that,
ahead.
and I've seen, unfortunately, and those of you that know, because if you have a family member or a loved one that has had an amputation, ask that family member how much it would be worth to them to save their limb. There's no money. Here's the other thing we got to consider too. I ask patients all the time, to put it into perspective, if your car needed $7,000 confirmed by 3 different mechanics worth of work, what would you do? The answer in most people that most people give me is that I'd buy a new car. Well, a new car costs $35,000 to $45,000. So Americans, when faced with $7,000 worth of expense, they'll spend $45,000 on a heap of metal, which you'll have 8 to 10 in your lifetime. You got one body and one chance to live it right. What I hate is I hate seeing people get and work their buns off for retirement and that life after life where they can chill and enjoy themselves and travel and enjoy their grandkids, and then they can't because of these chronic diseases, because they kick the can down the road.
Wow. No, I get it. Yeah. Thank you. That's great. So, okay, I know there's going to be more about this, and we'll talk about your masterclass, but I want to know, just go back a little bit. How did most medical doctors don't talk like this. They talk, like you said, about disease.
Yes.
They don't talk about disease prevention. How did you get on this path and discover what you discovered, if you don't mind telling the story?
So I had a patient that I had been treating, and who, right out of school, she was like a mother to me, like a second mother to me. I knew her before I knew my wife. So she knitted blankets for all of my children when they were born. And this woman, unfortunately, had type 2 diabetes. And I was treating her for something musculoskeletal wise. And I unfortunately watched her decline her spirit really was battered.
So
This
you
woman.
were, yeah, you were like a regular medical doctor treating disease, or you were a different kind at that
No,
time?
no, I'm a chiropractor, so I was treating
Okay.
her for her musculoskeletal disorders
Okay. Okay.
at the time. And I will tell you, many chiropractors in my field have gone into what is called functional medicine because it gets to the root cause, and that's where chiropractic is always excelled.
Hmm.
Um, and what gets me, and I people who know me know that this is what I want on my tombstone is I am not alternative because it stinks. Because what I do is I reverse, and what we do as functional medicine providers is reverse chronic diseases naturally without medication and save people's lives. And we're considered alternative.
Right.
Drives me nuts. What is well? So what's primary? What's primary is drugs and surgery. And a medical physician, and this is not. Listen, it's just two schools of thought. A medical physician has one tool on their belt, and that is medicine. That's it. So there is no. If you ever asked your physician how to eat, they're not going to give you a diet. They don't even get nutrition education in medical school. It's like 5 credits. Um, so this is not to your physician is doing all that they've been trained to do. It's certainly not their fault. This is a broken system where Americans take 80% of all medication produced in the world, and we make up 5% of the world population, which comes down to 18 pills per person, per American, per day.
Whoa.
Yeah, right. So
How could that be? 18 a day? So if some people aren't taking them, that means that a lot of people are taking more.
36. Right. You got it.
Wow.
This is certainly not the answer. Covering up root causes with and covering up symptoms and not looking for root causes. That's
Wow.
primary care.
All right. So back to the story before I interrupted you. Your friend, the one who knitted all the stuff for your kids, had type 2 diabetes. You couldn't
She
help her.
did.
It's going downhill. Did you?
And
Yeah,
yes.
go ahead.
She was a good steward. She was a great patient to her doctors. She took her medication. She watched her diet. She exercised. She did everything that she was told to do. And I watched her continually decline. More medications for the medications,
Mm.
and all the symptoms: heart attack, neuropathy, stroke.
What is the
Uh,
neuropathy from? I know my father had it from the chemo, but why do
yes.
type 2 diabetics get neuropathy?
Yeah. So it's the high blood sugar. So picture an extension cord, like an orange extension cord. The orange is really just a plastic coating covering up all the wires underneath. And our nerves are kind of the same way with a sheath that covers all the nerves below. This sheath, the high blood sugar eats away at it like a mouse and creates a hole in the sheath, exposing the nerves below, which creates the fireworks of neuropathy, pins and needles, sharp stabbing pain, numbness and tingling, loss of sensation, loss of being able to control temperature. Um, so it is the high blood sugar that is. And by the
Oh,
way, yes, you are correct. And I'm sorry about your dad because chemotherapy is the number one side effect of it is neuropathy. But I'm talking about this is purely because the number one reason for peripheral neuropathy in the United States is high blood sugar. That mouse eating away and creating holes in it. So what you need to do is you need to correct it or work on it. The first thing you need to do is stop the high blood sugar.
right. So, okay. So back to your story, and I know we keep getting tangents, but that's okay. Um, they're all good. So you watched this woman decline, and you were like a chiropractor. And then did you,
Yes.
after that, like, what did you decide? And did you go?
So
Yeah.
she eventually passed, and type 2 diabetics pass 10 years prematurely on average. It was much more. And you know what? She had lost her will to live long before that. Her quality of life, um, it was awful. And it was terrible. I knew her children, I knew her grandchildren. It was just a terrible thing to watch. So once she had passed, I had been having dinner with a colleague, and they were telling me how they had been reversing people's type 2 diabetes, and I was blown away. So I was exposed to a solution for the problem for Miss Carmen. So it immediately touched my heart. And from that point on, Hilary, I tell you, I've never wanted to do anything else.
Wow.
I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a little bit. I think I have the best job in the world, maybe next to yours.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
um, you
So,
know, yes,
so did you go back to school? Did you just start
yes.
learning? Yes. Okay.
Oh my goodness, yes. I felt like I had to start over in some extent. Yes, I had to learn a whole lot about how the body works. Um, we have all these different organs that the standard of care treats compartmentalized, meaning neurologist for neuropathy, cardiologist for cardiac issues, endocrinologist for diabetes. They don't speak to one another, and that's not how our organs work. They work together like a symphony.
Mhm.
And it's impossible to make beautiful music when your doctors have different sheet music in different buildings, So it was necessary for me to learn how this orchestra works. And
So,
while I had the background and underlying training, that was not my specialty. So yes, going back and getting hundreds of hours of credit hours to learn
so
how to do this.
yeah, and where do you go for that? Who teaches you that? I mean, I'm
Yeah, there
assuming
are
it's not medical
functional.
school, right? So,
No, well, sure, no, right, no. There are functional medicine schools
okay.
and programs that teach you how to approach and really to do detective work, and how the body works. So basically, I would liken it to being in a new car. You are lost the first week or two. You've got this new dashboard with all these different signals telling you different things, and someone has to teach you how to interpret your dashboard. So that's what I had to go back to school with. And if this lights up, it took a while for me to realize that this little icon on my dashboard meant that I needed air in a tire. So but once you see it once and learn, then like, oh my goodness, look, they need air in their tire. Or I'm able to look at triglycerides and say a patient might have a liver problem. And by the way, cholesterol is not a primary diagnosis of anything. If cholesterol is high, it tells me there's a problem with somebody's liver or somebody's thyroid. And meanwhile, the standard of care is to just cover up those markers with a face full of Maybelline. And these are clues that we're sweeping under the rug of real problems. Um, I
Wow.
got a cool job because I
Yeah.
get answers for people.
So, so how old were you when you did that? When you went back to functional school? Yeah.
47.
How? All right. How many years ago? You don't look even 47 now. So
I'm 54 years old.
54. Okay, so that was 7 years ago. Oh my
7
God.
years.
So this is
That's right.
fairly new.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, yeah. But
Wow.
like I said, once I was able to reverse someone's type 2 diabetes, and look, the proof is in the pudding, and it's not me who is reducing and eliminating their medication, it is their prescribing physician who have jaw dropping reactions when my patients come in. Like, they've never. Last week, I had a patient tell me that her physician came into the room with three other physicians who she shared the lab work with because they've never seen anything like it. And that upsets me and makes me elated at the same time.
Wow. I'm, yeah, I want to cry. that people don't know. That so
Yeah.
many people, and I know it's kind of like, you know, I think, tell me if I'm wrong. You have people who are open. Yes, they come to you, they do it, they follow it, they they reverse it, right? And then there are people that say, well, if my doctor doesn't tell me it's okay, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, they do whatever their doctor says, and God bless them, but I don't know if you're in the business of trying to convince them, or I
I don't
guess the
have to
proof is,
convince anyone. You know what, Hillary? The patient, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. These patients are coming to me because they're frustrated to pieces. They've already done everything their doctor has asked them to do, and in either the doctor either throws up their hands and says, "There's nothing else I could do for you," which is not usually the case. What typically happens is the doctor who firmly believes in what they are prescribing, if they're not getting results, they tend to blame the patient, or the patient blames themselves. I'm not dieting enough. I'm not working out enough. And I'm going to tell you that diet and exercise play a part, but there are a lot of other pieces to your lifestyle puzzle that you are not accounting for. In the way of infections or inflammation or autoimmune problems. I found a woman who has 3 autoimmune problems she had no idea about. No one looked.
so okay. So let's say, so okay, so you went to school, you learned all this. You learned obviously the tests that you can do as a
Yeah,
detective to find out what the underlying cause is.
correct.
And then how do you fix that? Obviously
Good
you're not
question.
using
Yeah.
drugs.
No.
You're
No.
so tell, can you just, pick one, and
Yeah, so
and I have,
that's when I
yeah.
take out the magic wand. No, I'm just kidding. So it depends, Hillary, on what the problem is. So here's
Right.
a perfect example. And I use this example often because it really drives it home. I had a couple who were husband and wife, type 2 diabetics, getting worse progressively because the standard of care is to kick the can down the road.
Right.
Um, and they heard me speak and their doctor had told them, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, things are not going well. If they continue down this path, the next steps, I'm going to have to put you on insulin. So they were like, no way, man. So they came in to see me. I did the testing. I found out he had a parasite. I found out in his GI tract. I found out she had hormone irregularity. Now, those were their primaries. There were other pieces of their puzzle that needed to be cleaned up as well, but primarily that was their problem. So I needed to treat him differently than I treated her because I needed to balance her hormones, which I did, and we reduced, eliminated her medication, and then her diagnosis. And then for him, I had to get that parasite, man, out. So we did that. And that was a totally different treatment than his wife. And that reduced and eliminated his A1C, blood glucose, medication, and diagnosis. And they're both living a diabetic free life with 2 different treatment plans that were necessary entirely for both of them. So, to answer your question, it depends on what we find. What is wrong? So it's like the investigation of the car. If it's not working, is it an oil cap? Is it a transmission change? What you do depends upon what the problem is.
So how, I don't know if I can ask, how did you get rid of, how do you get rid of a parasite?
Sure, yeah, I gave him supplements to kill it.
Okay.
So it's in his GI tract. So
Right.
an anti-inflammatory diet, which will reduce the fuel on the fire that is caused. So when someone has a GI tract problem, it causes inflammation, and inflammation causes more of a GI tract problem. It's like a vicious cycle. So
Hmm.
you eliminate the inflammation, and you give them supplements to get and rid of that parasite. For his wife, we needed to stimulate her adrenal glands, which are responsible for hormone production and regulation, which get beat up and sluggish due to stress, number one, and toxins such as caffeine or sugar. And in our society, that's a catch-22. So if your hormones are off, then sleep, circadian rhythm is going to be off. Wide awake in the middle of the night and tired in the middle of the day, backwards, because hormones are off. Now, you can take medication to help you sleep. That doesn't get to the root cause. You could, for
How did both of these things that are so different, the parasite and the hormone regularity, those both cause is it A1C and the type 2 diabetes?
a great question. So here is the deal. A bad diet can cause insulin resistance. A lack of exercise can cause insulin resistance. But guess what? There are other aspects of your lifestyle, like infections, like a parasitic infection that causes insulin resistance. No one's looking for that part. Like hormone irregularity. There are a ton of things that causes insulin resistance, which in turn causes high blood sugar, which in turn gives you the diagnosis. Other aspects of your lifestyle, more than just diet and exercise.
Wow.
More than just those two.
Now, when you say bad diet, is a bad diet like constant for everyone, or is it like, does each person have its own bad and good diet, or is it one good?
I see. Are there specific diets for specific people? That's a very good question. So I'll give you both answers. There's a general diet, which is not the standard American diet. Milk does not do a body good. In fact, the milk from a cow is intended to take a 90-pound calf and turn it into a 1,400-pound heifer in 9 months. We don't want that. There are antibiotics. We lose the ability to break down lactose at the age 2 to 4 when we begin weaning off of mom. So staying away from some foods. Glyphosate is found in our grain products, all of our grain products. When we began monocropping and mono farming our grains all in one field, we spray them with 10 applications of glyphosate, which makes them harder and thicker and easier to farm with a machine like a John Deere as opposed to by hand. However, glyphosate, which is what we're spraying, is the main ingredient in Roundup pesticide, which was just found to be carcinogenic. So 100% of Americans show a gluten intolerance. And it is I'm sure you've heard of Agent Orange, and you've heard of DDT. Mm-hmm. These are all, DDT was a pesticide we stopped using here. I will tell you that our farming practices here in the United States are illegal in Europe because they are unhealthy. Our food is unhealthy for us.
Is that all grains? Like if it's organic, does that matter, or is that still bad?
So it's not even gluten-free that you want to keep. It is grain-free that you want to keep. Because grains in this country are not farmed or produced in a manner that is healthy to consume.
So what do you eat instead?
Grain-free. They are grain-free cereals. There's one that I love. I think it's called 7 Sundays. It's grain-free. You can have grain-free crackers. I'm telling you, they exist. They're not hard to find. In everybody's supermarket. You don't have to order them on the internet. You don't have to go to special stores. Each store today has special aisles dedicated to nutrition. In those nutritional aisles, you will find grain-free products, I promise.
So the whole thing about, I thought if I was eating multigrain, that was healthy.
No, multigrain is not healthy. Multigrain has many different grains that contain gluten. Many people think that whole wheat Whole wheat has more gluten in it per slice of bread than any other. Gluten is like glue. Gluten has no place in your body. It is one of the most inflammatory foods that you can put in your body, along with dairy, along with soy, along with fructose. These are inflammatory foods, very inflammatory. Inflammation is a killer. Inflammation leads to insulin resistance, high blood sugar, and type 2 diabetes.
Ma, how about rice? Oatmeal?
Rice. So rice, what you have to be careful with rice. Now, listen, I'm telling you, there is a diet that I give to patients where they thrive. They don't just survive, and you can still live to eat on the diet that I give patients rather than eat to live. But you do have to do a combination of both. Rice have mycotoxins in them. Mycotoxins are from foods, water damaged foods, such any foods that are stored in barrels, bins, or silos have an opportunity to get water damage and mold. So rice is one of these. Coffee beans is
No.
another. I know I just killed a lot of
No.
people. Yeah. But you can get toxin-free coffee.
Okay.
Um,
All
you can
right. Well,
substitute rice with cauliflower rice. I promise you, you won't miss a thing. Most supermarkets today have different flavored cauliflower rice, just as they do regular flavored rice.
right. Okay. All right.
There's
So,
an alternative. I guess
yes,
I am alternative.
you,
But what I
but
am
in a good
saying should be
way.
primary. Yeah.
In a good way. All right. So we're about to go for our, but before we go, we're about to go to our commercial break, but we are going to, this isn't all bad. We have a solution for you. So come back after the commercial and you will know, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm eating all the wrong stuff. So, but anyway, we have a solution. Come back and you will hear what it is. And for now, we're going to go to our commercial break and hear a little bit from our sponsor.
Has social emotional learning become just one more thing on your teachers' plates? Do teachers and students both find it boring and ineffective? Then bring Kikori to your school. Kikori transforms classrooms through experiential SEL activities that help students play, reflect, connect, and grow. Even better, students say it's more fun than recess. Schedule a no-obligation conversation at kikoriapp.com/bringkikori. KIKORI.
Do you ever feel like you can't say what you really want to say? Or that you're stuck or in a holding pattern in your relationships, career, personal life, or finances? Are there things you want in life that you've given up on? Are you resigned that this is as good as it's going to get? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then Hilary Burns, host of the Getting Real with Hilary show, has the solution you need. Hilary is a published author of 3 books and has a program called the Getting Real Process. This process frees you from what is holding you back, allowing you to create a life you love. Don't believe it? It is hard to believe that it could work, isn't it? The proof is that hundreds of Hilary's clients have used the Getting Real process and are now free to create whatever they want in relationships, career, finances, enjoying life, or just loving themselves more. So go to realtalkwithhilary.com and order Hilary's book, Real Talk, and set up a conversation. Okay, and thank you as always to our sponsor, kikoriapp.com. If you want to bring experiential social emotional learning to your children, to your teams, to your businesses, go to kikoriapp.com and schedule a consultation. It will change their lives and your lives, especially after COVID, where there was a little bit of socialization missing. And also, if you don't feel yourself free to speak up, get my book, Real Talk, and schedule a call with me, and I'm happy to help you get free and start having more fun and loving your life. You can reach me at Hilary at gettingrealwithhilary.com. And now, what you've been waiting for is, what do we do with all this information and how do we all get healthy? Welcome back, Dr. Raj Gupta.
Hi, Hilary.
So anyway, I didn't mean to take us down the tunnel, but maybe I did, because I want to know, what do I do?
Mhm.
How do I stay healthy? How do I keep my kids healthy? So I know you have. Do you want to tell them now about your
Sure.
master
Of
class?
course. Yeah. So I
Okay.
have a master class coming up on May 6th. And it is the blueprint, it is the roadmap to reverse one's type 2 diabetes. But if you don't have type 2 diabetes, it's still for you, because this is how you get into the front seat and out of the shackles and orange jumpsuit in the back seat of a police cruiser and become the driver of your own health and wellness again. Again, it's the roadmap on the step-by-step process on how to reverse a chronic disease. Specifically, I'll be speaking about type 2 diabetes. Um, but the masterclass is on my private Facebook group. It's free. It's 5 days long. It's a lot of information. If you think today was a lot, oh my goodness. But you know what? I provide a workbook. It makes it a little easier so that people don't have to write so much. But the masterclass is in my private Facebook group called The End of Type 2 Diabetes, Exposing Myths, hyphen, Revealing Truth. Again, The End of Type 2 Diabetes, Exposing Myths, Revealing Truth. You will see a picture of me when you find the right group. And it's free to attend. Each session is about an hour long. And like I said, it's a step-by-step process that stands on its own, really. So you want to get in the driver's seat of your own health and wellness, implement this. I will be talking about the 5 most inflammatory foods. I'll be talking about the standard of care, and how to do the detective work and how to find out your why, the reason why. You know what kills me, Hilary? This one really gets me. When we come in contact with over 700,000 toxins a day as Americans, that's right off of Google. 700,000 toxins a day. Now, we can't eliminate exposure, but I will tell you, I know that you and probably all of your listeners, along with me, have friends or family that they know of who have succumbed to cancer, and no one knows why. No one knows why. Well, these toxins that show up will tell you if they are carcinogenic or diabetogenic or obesogenic, meaning they cause diabetes, obesity, or cancer. There is no surprise where people are getting cancer from. We just need to look and do the detective work to see what toxins are in our body, causing and wreaking havoc, and then eliminate them.
So yeah, I was going to ask that. So with your testing, you can see which toxins are in a body, and you have ways based on your functional medicine learning, you know how to eliminate them.
Sure, of course. It comes down to also what toxins are in the body. We see everything from heavy metals, lead, and aluminum, which shows direct correlation to Alzheimer's. We see plastics, like I saw 15 times the amount of plastics that a person should have in this 58-year-old woman's body. Parabens from cosmetics. These, I mean, they're rampant. We find mold. Oh my goodness, the amount of mold that we find in people. And this is what causes insulin resistance. These are aspects of your lifestyle as well.
Now, if somebody, let's say somebody isn't insulin resistant.
Yes.
Obviously, they could still have toxins.
Oh, yes.
You can help people regardless, right? It's not just the diabetes that you're reversing, correct?
It's not. That is correct. So we treat patients with autoimmune diseases such as Hashimoto's, which is when your body is attacking its own thyroid. We see other autoimmune diseases like Sjogren's and even inflammatory arthritis. This is a change in lifestyle that will benefit a human being's body to reapproach something called homeostasis, which is not a main goal for standard of care. It's just to cover up symptoms, and that's so that's the fight that I've been fighting to reach people through social media. I have been able to get the message out that had previously been monopolized by pharmaceutical companies, that there is another way, especially when it comes to type 2 diabetes. There's something other than diet, exercise, and injections. There's actually a light at the end of the tunnel where you can get into the driver's seat and eliminate this by identifying the real reason why.
Wow. Now, do all functional doctors, medicine, what do you call functional?
Yes.
Are all of them trained in this? So let's say, I know you're in New Jersey. If somebody's not near you and they want to, let's say they take the course and then they want to like do the tests and start reversing what they have.
Yes. So
if they're not near you, do they have to be local to you?
They don't.
Like, how
I
would
treat
they
patients all over the country. So I would be able to interpret your lab work on Zoom just as we are right here and drop ship what I need to you in way of testing or supplements. We meet virtually. So I have patients all over the country. But to answer your question, yes, there is a difference in the amount of depth that different practitioners go into. Especially in the amount of detective work, because as you said, some of the testing, it's out of pocket, is costly. So some practitioners will try to guess instead of doing the proper detective work to save their patients money, but really they're not there. I am not of the mindset to want to throw things up against the wall and see what sticks. I like finding answers and having a big reveal and pulling back the curtain. I'm like, here you go. Like the woman with 3 autoimmune problems, 25 years. She has no idea why she feels lousy every day and hates life. She hates family events. It was breaking my heart. And there it was, black and white.
Wow. This is like amazing. Yeah, I'm blown away.
It's not. So it's very common, actually. It's functional medicine providers. I'm sure your listeners and viewers have come in contact with functional medicine providers in the past. This is the way out.
But would all of them not to throw her under the bus, but I went to one and she didn't do any testing on me. She asked me some questions. And then that was it. So it's not, so I did go to one and she didn't do this.
Yes.
And maybe I didn't have a big enough problem. I don't even remember why I went, but yeah.
Well, there are good teachers, bad teachers, good cops, bad cops. And not to say that she was even bad, or maybe she just didn't have the extensive training that I have. But I will tell you that the truth and the why is in the detective work, finding out what your why is. So without testing, you're going out to try to fix the car and you don't know what's wrong with it. Lab work will only tell you so much too. Lab work on your lab work, and my lab work is 9 to 10 vials of blood and 8 pages long. It's a deep dive, and I will get pieces of the puzzle for sure, but I will also get clues as to where to find other pieces of the puzzles, which is other tests.
So where would someone get all this blood work done? Like a Quest, or is it a special lab?
No, like a Quest or a LabCorp, correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the results and then you start your detective work. And so after the blood, are there then more tests depending on where it sends you?
That's exactly correct. And which tests we don't know until we get the lab work, are able to do the detective work. and interpret that and say, "Ooh, look at this. This is a clue."
Okay.
For instance, for the gentleman who I spoke about, who I treated, he and his wife, and he had a parasite. On his lab work, it was super indicative that he had a GI tract problem that was possibly a parasitic infection, but it was the stool test that really confirmed it.
Okay. So you might have given him the stool test, and you might have given her a different test for step 2,
She
right? Step.
did a hormone irregularity test, which was a dried urine test. And that was it's a very specific hormone test that tells us which hormones, what hormones, when are they acting up or causing an imbalance. So he did not take that test, as
Right.
she did not take the stool test.
Right. So step 1 is the blood, the step 2 is whatever you've seen, and then how many steps might you have to go to figure it out?
It's
Usually.
like peeling back the layers of an onion. You
Yeah.
don't know, but you keep going. I mean, so on average, people's care plans are anywhere from 4 to 7 months, typically. People ask me all the time, do I need to be on supplements for the rest of my life? The answer there is absolutely a no. Um, the supplements are not like medications. It doesn't work like that. They supplement your organs to help nurture them to heal. So once they heal, and you approach homeostasis, your body is born to heal. We just have to give it an opportunity.
Wow. That's so cool. So, okay. So we've covered May 6th. And again, I will put the link in the show notes. So if
Sure.
you don't remember all that, you'll just be able to click it, from wherever you are. If not, go to YouTube. There'll be the show notes there under Getting Real with Hilary. If you're watching someplace else or listening someplace else, you can find the link there. Um, what can I ask you about neuropathy? Because
Sure. Yeah.
I have a friend who I think it was chemo based, but she has neuropathy, but it's not related, I don't think, to the insulin resistance.
Mhm.
Can you also help something like that?
So, neuropathy as a secondary effect to chemotherapy, what you want to do is just provide the body with the proper nutrition necessary for it to heal itself. Uh, the agitator and cause of the neuropathy in that instance was the chemotherapy, which is attacking your body and your nerves. So the elimination of the remainder of that chemotherapy is how you eliminate. And neuropathy, good news for your friend. Neuropathy that is caused by a secondary to chemotherapy is usually fully recoverable. Um, so
Wow.
so nutrition in the way of IV nutrition drips, um, and a detox to get the remaining amount of chemotherapy out of her body, which is the agitator.
Okay, and you can
Good
do that.
prognosis, your friend. Good prognosis.
And you can help her, right? You can help her.
Yes, but that is so. It is. I'll tell you what. I could probably help her because of the cancer that she had in her body to begin with. Where did that come from? A toxin test, you would be surprised to see what you find when you look. In stool tests, there are so many, a parasitic infection. That sounds like so irregular. No, it's pretty common. I see it several times a week, at least. So but you don't know until you look. So we're doing these toxicity tests. What you find in people's makeup, you're like, my goodness. And then it lists there what that toxin is, where your possible exposure may have come from, and then what kind of neurological problems or autoimmune problems, or is it carcinogenic? It tells you everything about the toxin and what level is in your body. Um, it's quite alarming. It's quite alarming. But what you see is that you find a list of toxins that are carcinogenic that are in people's bodies. So when this person gets cancer, there's no question as to where it came from. Now, you don't want to just wait and see. You want to be proactive about it. And that is the problem with our healthcare system. It is reactive sick care.
Mm-hmm.
It's not proactive healthcare. Let's prevent you from getting cancer to begin with. How do you do that? You identify the toxins that are carcinogenic in your body.
And then you can help remove them.
Yes. Absolutely. And how do I know? Well, because then we do follow-up toxicity tests that show the toxins are depleted or eliminated.
And do the toxins show up in the blood? How do you see them?
So that's a good question. No, the toxicity test is a urine test, but they're in the blood. You'll get clues to indicate that a patient might have toxins in their body. But you know what? Again, coming in contact with 700,000 a day, right. Yeah, it's not a question of do we, it's which ones.
Right.
I have a colleague, you'll appreciate this.
Yeah.
I have a colleague who did a toxicity test and found out that she had a toxin that was pretty much solely due to the hair dye that she used. Mm. So she's like, oh my goodness. That's it. She cut it and she's totally gray. And you know what? She looks 150 times better. Some people just look beautiful with gray hair. She does, and good for her. And now she's toxin free.
Wow. Yeah, I had heard about that. Heard about nail polish. There's a lot of things that, yeah. So
detergent, dish soap, antiperspirant, suntan lotion. They're all toxic. There are toxins everywhere. Air fresheners are like the big. It's like it is the worst. These oh my goodness, these plugins, unplug, throw away. Lysol, the active ingredient in it is the same ingredient in Agent Orange. It is toxic.
Wow. So when you do your course or when you have patients or whatever, do you give them a list of stuff that they should be avoiding?
Yes, I do an entire session in the masterclass all about toxins.
Okay.
An hour long of where they come from, how you get them, how you eliminate them, and how you eliminate exposure.
Wow. All right. Well, we're going to have to let people know about this course. So again, we will put the link it's the Facebook group.
Yes.
All right. So it's too long for me to remember.
It is the end of type 2 diabetes. Exposing myths and revealing truth.
Okay. And is myths MYTHS?
It is.
Okay. Exposing myths - revealing truth. You can sign up for the masterclass there. And can you tell us what time it is again?
It's 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central.
Okay. And for an hour and a half at the most
No, it's about just if it's over an hour, maybe an hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes a session.
Okay. All right. And it's 5 days in a row.
It's 5 days in a row. I typically have some bonus sessions on the weekend too, which are awesome. I do like a shopping segment and I show you all the foods because you were just asking like grain free. I'll give you samples of different products that I found in the supermarket and brand names. So that's a fun segment. Yes.
And you're doing it live, right?
Yes.
But you're recording it. So if someone misses a day, they can still watch.
They're recorded and in the featured tab at the top of the homepage in the Facebook group, you're able to watch the previous sessions. We keep them up for a time during the week during the masterclass and a little time afterwards. So yes, you don't have to see them live each day, but it's fun to watch live. There's you're able to you know who else is in the group, and in the chat you will meet those who have already reversed their type 2 diabetes and their stories. I do before and after lab work. It's fun. It's a good time.
Yeah. All right, good. All right. So in closing, well, I would just like to say if you have anyone with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes, definitely let them know about this class. What would you like to tell people in closing, Dr. Raj?
I would like to remind people that there is more than medications and surgery. We live in a pill for an ill society. And listen, Hilary had asked, "What is a home run? What would be a home run for me for doing this podcast?" And I told her plain and simple, without hesitation, one person that I can reverse their type 2 diabetes, get them off their medication, and give them their life back. That's a home run. And that's a home run for me every day. And that's what I think about. I do these sessions on my homepage that you will see if you join the Facebook group. It's called A Star is Born. And there's probably 30 or 40 different interviews I do with patients before and after with their lab work. And I talk about their journeys. And you can see I can't stop smiling because that is the happiest I am. I feel as if I was put on this earth to deliver this message. And I love my job.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. We really, I appreciate the work you're doing. I appreciate your commitment to everybody, that you're willing to go public, that you're willing to make yourself available through this course. And I would say let's heal the world. Let's prevent disease. I mean, what a fabulous way to change the planet, right?
Wishing everybody health and wellness.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you for watching this episode. I started getting real with Hilary when I discovered that I was a people-pleasing, pleasant phony and wanted to be more of my real self. We can grow together if you will like the show, subscribe to my channel, and share this episode with your friends and family so that we can have a world that's more real.